Well, now it's 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2012, and little movie called Skyfall comes out.
And you know what? If the world would have ended at the end of 2012, at least we got Skyfall. It was a great way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this one is directed by Sam Mendes. Now, I didn't list any of his previous movies because he's done some shit.
He's done
He's done some shit.
First movie was American Beauty, and that's like one of my favorite movies. So
yeah, like this was also one of the first times that like Bond was saying like this is a good get for director. This is a good get, you know?
Yes.
And I remember even like when it was announced and you were like, oh, they got Sam Mendes. And then I was like, huh? And you were like, American Beauty. And then I was like, okay, all right. Okay. Now it's funny. Now you watch American Beauty, you don't immediately think this guy will be an incredible Bond director.
Yeah.
You don't think that. But then you get to this movie and well, we'll get to it. So he's the director. It's written by, this will be familiar, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade. Mm-hmm. This time we got John Logan.
John Logan.
Okay. So cast, James Bond, M, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yep.
But now we've got Javier Bardem, also a good get.
Excellent.
I mean, God damn, the guy's just an incredible actor.
Yeah.
So you're like, again, so immediately I'm like, I don't need to know anything about this guy to know that this is going to be good. You see screenshots and he's got like that dyed blonde hair and it's kind of longish and you're just like,
he just
looks cat-like too.
Yeah,
like
he looks creepy. It's just like, oh yeah, he's digging into that No Country for Old Men vibe again.
I should have said rat-like. I should have said he looked rat-like. That would have been more appropriate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got Javier Bardem as Raul Silva, who is a former MI6 agent turned hacker terrorist or hacktivist, I think is the no hack. It's got to be hacker terrorist because a hacktivist is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes makes his series debut as Gareth Mallory, the chairman of Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament.
Yeah, we're introducing like the new class of Bond characters now. This is that transition movie where we're going from the old like right back to Pierce Brosnan. We're going into this new.
Yeah. So the last two movies, we took all those Bond tropes and we just turned them on their head. We flipped them. We kind of reinvented them. And now we're going to get you to, they make you feel like this is going to be like a return to a normal James Bond movie.
Yeah.
They really do make you think that. Before you watch this movie, they're telling you that this is going to be a return to form. Mm-hmm. It's going to be Bond like you know and love. I disagree. There are aspects that are the Bond that you know and love, but there's differences. And we'll get to that. Yeah. We've got Naomi Harris, who is now Eve Moneypenny. Okay. Berenice Marlowe as Severine. Albert Finney as Kincaid, the Skyfall gamekeeper. Or groundkeeper, sorry.
Okay.
Ben Whishaw is introduced as Q, the MI6 quartermaster.
Yep.
Rory Kinnear returns as Bill Tanner, M's aide. And Ola Rapace is Patrice, the mercenary.
Patrice.
Yeah. So now we have a budget that is approximately 150 million to 200 million.
Mm-hmm.
This movie made $1 billion.
$1 billion. Biggest Bond movie ever.
$1.109 billion.
Yeah.
The only Bond to do that, even adjusted for inflation. It's the only one to do it. And there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. And I'll do this real quickly. So the cast, amazing.
Yeah.
The action, amazing.
Yeah.
Story.
Amazing.
Yeah, there you go. You're getting it. Cinematography.
Amazing.
Yes. All of it.
Hell, even the opening credits in the Adele song. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Another reason why I didn't like Spectre.
We don't really touch on the opening credits and the theme songs for these movies.
No, we didn't, but Casino Royale's theme song
really
was awesome.
Stands out to me. Like this, I love the opening credits. The music is beautiful. Yeah, Spectre was bad.
Well, Casino Royale I really liked. I thought that was awesome with Chris Cornell. Yeah. And the opening sequence, like with the cards and the game, all that, that's really cool too.
Really cool.
Quantum of Solace is okay.
I mean, I love the song, Jack White and
This song is really good.
Yep.
The opening sequence is okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
Skyfall is perfect.
Skyfall's great.
I've never been a huge Adele fan, but I can tell you, I think she's a phenomenal singer. I'm not really into her music.
Yeah.
But that theme song was great, and the opening sequence is awesome. And so what I like about this movie is that you think like this is a return to form. This is going to be Bond like you know and love. Yep. And they don't do the opening barrel scene.
No, they don't.
They do that blurry sequence, and then he comes right into the camera, and I was like, whoa. Michelle and I saw that. That was one of the first movies we saw in the theater because we just kind of started dating that year. And in the theater, I was like, whoa. And already I was like, yeah, this is gonna be something else.
Something's up.
This is gonna be something else, you know. And then so right away, you've got a Bond who is caring about his fellow agents because he doesn't want to leave that guy to die. He's like, yeah, we'll get the knock list. Oh, sorry, not the knock list, the CIA or the list of undercover agents. Did I say knock list like Mission Impossible? Shit. Damn it. Anyway, so, but like M's the one that's like, no, you have to leave. And he's like, are people coming? Yes, I'm sending help. So then he leaves. And so that's not something that you would have seen Bond do too often in the other movies.
No.
He'd have done it for Felix Leiter or any of his friends, but for other agents, you didn't see that too often. Yes. But he's like right away, boom, okay, let's go, right? Then we get introduced to Eve. We don't know it's Moneypenny, but we get introduced to Eve in the field. Yep. That's really cool.
Excellent.
You know,
so
and a great way to introduce her character as a actual capable agent in the field, which I thought was awesome. And then we get introduced to Patrice, which sets up one of the best opening sequences in all of James Bond. Okay, all of the James Bond's movies.
Yeah, the entirety of them.
Because it starts off small in a hallway. Opens up a little bit bigger in the room, opens up a little bit bigger into the bazaar, and then just goes fucking bonkers. Motorcycle chase. Well, first it's car chase, foot chase, motorcycle chase, and then the motorcycle chase is all along roofs, and then it ends up on the top of a train. And I love the line where they're like, well, they're on the train. She's like, what do you mean they're on the train?
Go after them.
I mean, they're both physically on top of the fucking train.
Yep.
We'll go after them then. Like, oh, okay, I guess so. And then the train sequence is awesome. And like, you're getting the sense that like Bond is a little overmatched. You don't feel like he's going to just completely annihilate Patrice.
Yep.
he's just fuck it. I'm going to take this loader. And he starts driving the friggin' loader all along these cars.
Yeah. And
then destroys a bit of that roof so he can get in, and then fixes his cufflinks.
Yeah.
And then strolls off like it's a normal day. And for him it is. But that was like fucking awesome to see that. It was just like, yep, we've got some normal Bond in something that's not exactly a normal Bond movie.
Yep.
So like within the first 10 minutes of this movie, I'm already like, whew, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. And every single time I've watched it since, I've never, ever changed that feeling. I'm still just like, whew, this is going to be great. This is going to be such a good movie.
M tells Eve to take the shot.
Even before that, we've got that fight scene where they're fighting over the list.
Yeah.
You know,
they're fighting first. Yeah.
And they're on top of the train, and then they go into the tunnel, and then they're out. So there's these different like quick changes of scenery, changes of color, and it's very even matched, which is one thing I really liked about the Craig movies is that when he's fighting other agents, he's rarely like kicking the shit out of them. It's the same thing that I liked about the Jason Bourne movies, where when Bourne is fighting normal, even they're cops or whatever, but he's fighting normal guys.
Yeah.
He's taking them out like that. When it's actual agents, it's really close and it's really life or death. And you got that sense again right away. We're in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and you're just like, oh, this is close. This is really close. And then when M says take the shot, repeatedly take the shot, and she does and misses.
She hits
what the fuck?
and he goes and he falls all that way down, which perfectly cut into the opening credits.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say this, and I want you to remind me about this.
Okay.
Sam Mendes has a thing for symmetry. Okay.
Yes.
I want to say this so that you can help me not forget. But he has a thing for symmetry. Okay.
What are we going to talk about this during this or Spectre?
We're going to touch upon it on both.
All right. Symmetry. I got a pen. I got a paper. Symmetry.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh.
All right. God, man, like this is one where I'm like, it's hard to like, yeah, we're starting right at the beginning, but like, okay, like I said, cast, like for some people, some of them, they've been in a couple of movies now. So like Craig, you can tell feels comfortable in this role. He is now officially made Bond. This is his version of James Bond.
Yes.
Okay. And he was very lucky because in the first one, it was kind of carte blanche.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And then in the second one, there's a refinement process happening, which had to happen. So like I said, Quantum of Solace had to happen. I don't care what anybody says. If anybody sits there and says it's the worst, if it's your worst movie, that's fine. But you have to admit that it had to happen before we got to Skyfall. Okay? Anyway, now we get Skyfall. This is like fully formed James Bond. We're getting him in the first 20 minutes of the movie. This is perfect. They fucking shoot him, fucking drop him in the ocean, or in a river or wherever, bunch of water. Credits hit, or the intro credits hit. The song is amazing. Everything's awesome.
Yep. And
now we get M dealing with the fact that she caused the death of one of her best agents. I'm not going to say the best because he's 007. He's not 00 or 02 or 003 or whatever. You know, I assume it goes up, right? So if you're 001, you're the best agent in MI6.
Is there a 000?
Maybe.
Agent Zero. Oh.
There you go. Yeah. I think, because like, wasn't it GoldenEye where they because what's his face?
Sean Bean?
Yeah, Sean Bean's character, wasn't he 006?
Yeah. He was. He was 006.
That's right. Anyway, okay, so now we're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, we know that Bond's not dead because that would have been a bit crazy way to start a Bond movie. You kill him off and then introduce Javier Bardem as the new James Bond. You're like, all that production shit we showed you was fake. It was totally fake.
Can you imagine? Bond's dead. He's gone for the rest of the movie.
I would have lost my mind. Yeah. Well, but okay, up until this point, you could have argued that James Bond was a code name.
You could have.
Up until literally the end of this movie, you could have argued that it was a code name. And that was actually one of the theories was like, you know what, it's a code name and that's why you can have it for so long, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So, I mean, okay, let's just kind of go with, so the cast is amazing again, like I said, so Bond is comfortable, or Craig is comfortable as Bond.
Yes. Yeah.
Even Tanner, like Kinnear is comfortable in his role, which is expanded. Every movie is expanded his role.
Yeah.
But he's more comfortable in this movie, and you can see it. But what I really like is the inclusion of the new characters and how well they play off with the established players. Yes. That first scene with where we are introduced to Gareth Mallory, and he's literally saying to M, like, well, you know, kind of had a good run. And she's like, I don't know, like, what are we talking about here? And it's just like, well, we're talking about retirement. So we're going to, you know, transition you and that's it. And we'll transition someone else into the role of M. But ultimately, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. We really appreciate it. But that's about it. And she's like, yeah, I love when she goes, I'll leave when the job's done. I was like, yes. Oh, fuck, that's awesome. You know, and I'm glad that they did that. And right away, too, you get a feeling that it's not just her mourning the death of Bond, but she's also looking at how many other agents she's lost prior to him. It's starting to weigh on her. And when he says retirement, that's the first time she thinks, oh, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the list gets outed and they attack an MI6 was awesome. That was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what a way to just boom, like that's let off. And then
what a great way to bring Bond back into it too.
It's so great. There is not anything a part of the script that I can pick apart. I know some people will, and I'll touch upon the other stuff later on, but like just getting to that point where now the list is out, that scene where she's looking at the coffins, you're like, holy fuck. And then now we pick up with Bond, who shacked up with some local señorita, and he's just essentially fucking drinking his way through life because he's hung up because he was shot. But M, his mother figure, who told them to take the shot.
Yes.
He, on some level, knows, or at least suspects, that M wasn't sending anybody to save that agent. So he's looking at it like, fuck you, you bitch. So he is just going to, I guess, live out the rest of his days drinking and stinking,
Yeah.
I mean, the scene where he's got the fucking scorpion on his hand and he's drinking that's a very intense way to show where he's at in his life right now. And you're just like, good God. But I like how they just juxtapose that scene, all brightly lit. Everyone's cheering him, and he's just like, yeah, I'm the fucking biggest dude ever. The next morning, it's dark, dreary. He's literally at the bar just waiting for them to open so that he can get drunk again. You're like, oh, God, this is so sad. I even like when he leaves, that woman that he's with is just like, you can tell in a short amount of time she cares about him, but she knows that she's never actually going to be with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, he sees the Wolf Blitzer again. Wolf Blitzer shows up and he's just like, all right, I'm back in. And again, we get that awesome scene where M is just busting his chops. You should hear he's like enjoying death. You should try it sometime. Lends perspective. And she's just like, oh, I love the first thing she says, like, run out of drink where you're at. And then he's like saying this line, or like, oh, is that just it? We're all played out. And she's like, speak for yourself. And then he's like, well, I guess I could stay somewhere else. And you're like, well, you'll have to because we sold your flat. You're not staying with me. And a shower wouldn't hurt. Like, she just fucking hammers him. Like, yeah, we sold your place because you were dead. Boom. No, you can't stay here. Boom. Have a shower, you stinky prick. Like, Jesus. Oh, by the way, maybe take a break from drinking, you drunk. Good God. I'll see you tomorrow. But it's great. Like, it's absolutely great, And then we get to see the new MI6, the new digs, which is a great way to introduce that.
Yeah.
Plus, we got Bond, who's like fucking got a beard and everything. Like, he kind of looks like he's given up. And the best part is we have a training sequence that you would normally see in an origin movie.
Yeah.
You have it in this movie because he's got to get back to being Bond. And that's another thing too. It's so great because you have him at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Fucking Bond, And then they tore that all down only to build him back up again. So now at that point, then I start going, okay. So I think by the end of this movie, this will be where they can say, well, now we've got Bond, the way you remember Bond, but just updated for the new millennium. So now this is a Bond that cares about people, but not too much because this guy is still a fucking assassin. Okay. But he does care about his co-workers, right? And they do a good job of showing that all the way through this movie and in Spectre. They do that in Spectre too. So there are some positives carried over, which makes sense because it's still Sam Mendes directing it. And the writing staff has stayed pretty much the same for almost all of it.
Yeah.
But that training sequence was great.
Oh, I loved it. And then like when he's getting frustrated because he can't hit the target.
Exactly. Or even that the SKYFALL, where it's just like day wasted, and it's just like Britain, duty, M, bitch. And then it gets to Skyfall, and it's like
done.
But like they hold a pregnant pause so that they can say, I tell you right now, I didn't set this up for this, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use it. But they hold it, and then he goes, done. And you're just like, fuck, like this Bond here, I could watch this Bond all day long.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And then they have him introduced to Gareth Mallory, and he's been approved for active duty. Mm-hmm. But I love the scene where, like, as they leave, and it's just Tanner and M, and he's just like, did he pass his tests? And he's asking this question. I get the feeling that he knows that he didn't pass the tests.
Yeah.
And she's just like, no, but we're gonna keep that quiet.
We'll let him think that he did.
Yeah. And you're just like, holy fuck, right? And then we meet Q, and that sequence was awesome. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like youth and innovation. And it's just like, well, youth isn't a guarantee of innovation, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well, every once in a while we need somebody to pull the trigger. And then Bond's just like, or not to pull the trigger. It's hard to tell that from your pajamas, Or even I like when he says, you barely have spots. As a reference to him being young. Like, this whole back and forth banter is just awesome. And it's so great because it sets up Q, or at least the new version of Q and the new version of Q branch, where it's just a gun and a radio, which is awesome. A nice callback. Yep. And then he's just like, what were you thinking? Exploding pens? We don't exactly go in for that anymore. And now I'm like, that's so fucking funny, because one of the things I disliked about Brosnan movies was every movie was more and more
crazy
gadgetry,
crazy shit,
to the point where, and I'm not saying like Bond has to be like a Jason Bourne level kick-ass artist, right? I'm glad that this version is, right? But the other ones, when you look back at it in like the new like modern filter, you kind of go, how did this guy not get killed ever?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like sniper from a distance, because that's the most obvious thing. But I'm just talking like in general hand-to-hand combat. Some of these people he's taken on should kill him.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so we get all of that, and then it builds to one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie is Bond tracking Patrice. The music, or that, not the music, the score, where it starts with that that whole thing builds up. And we get to that elevator scene. Like, the cinematography there is awesome. The elevator scene I thought was great. Like he's holding on.
Yeah.
And then his arm gives.
Rip, like,
but it's the one arm that he got shot in. Yeah. So I'm like, the continuity is great. So it's just like, oh my God. And then you get into that mirrored room with that neon lights and stuff. And I'm like,
gorgeous. Man, that scene is gorgeous.
Incredible. And then the fight scene is done in such a way where, like, you really have to watch to see who it is, because in some, you might actually think that's Bond and it might not be. And then it gets to that moving over the shoulder shot to where he's holding out to Patrice. I'm like, holy fuck. And I think we're an hour in at this point, and I'm just like, I don't ever want to stop. I don't ever want this movie to end, because holy crap. Like,
Yeah, it's nonstop amazing. Like, I couldn't believe
he hasn't even shaved yet.
I was watching, I was just like, yeah, this is still a fucking perfect movie. Like, it's crazy.
Like, I'm like putting this up there with, like Bourne Supremacy and Fallout as like the pinnacles of the movies, you know?
Yeah.
Because I love Bourne Ultimatum, but I do think Supremacy is like the pinnacle for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because, I believe my order is, I think it's 2, 1, 3. I can't remember now.
2, 1, 3.
But who knows? I love all those movies. So like at any point in time, they could change on a whim, and it doesn't mean anyone is terrible.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, ultimately out of all of the movies, Spectre is the only one where I actually have thoughts on what I would do to change the movie. To change, because there's a lot that I don't like in that movie. And the stuff that I do like don't outweigh the stuff that I don't like. And that's with Quantum of Solace, where the stuff that I didn't like, I was making them out to be bigger than they were. So then when I watch this movie, I'm like, well, actually, that's not as bad. It's not this, it's that. And the good is actually outweighing it, right? Yeah. So anyway, getting back to Skyfall. I mean, fuck, the only part that I really don't like in Skyfall is the shower scene with Severine. It's because we literally have it at the end after, like, she's playing it like she's the femme fatale.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, this tattoo, this is Macau sex trade. So I know that you're not meeting it. At first, I thought those guys were your bodyguards, but now I realize they're keeping you in line. They're watching you and making sure you don't get away. So this guy that is your owner, I want to meet him. Yeah. And that's a cool scene. But then when he jumps onto the boat and immediately walks in the shower, and every single time I watch this movie, every time I get to that part, I'm like, but dude, she's it's like a sex slave.
Yeah.
So you go and bang her. And then they topped it in Spectre with an even worse scene. And I mean, like, I get it. Part of Bond's thing is that he bangs girls, okay?
Yeah.
He fucks them and chucks them, and he always bangs the femme fatale, the bad chick. He bangs her at least once, and then she dies. I understand that, but they could have done it a different way. It could have been he figured out she was a sex worker or a sex slave after he banged her,
Yep.
Something along those lines, or at least like afterwards he notices the tattoo. Then he's like, oh, those weren't bodyguards. They were captors. Okay, that's great. That's great. As opposed to, oh no, I knew she was a sex slave. I knew it. You know what that meant? You know what that meant? That meant I was getting some, son. Oh.
Dirty Bond.
It's like you see a girl who's pregnant, you think, oh, gross. And I go, no, that's a girl who puts out. Like, what? And that bothers me about that part is that up until that point, we have actually successfully modernized Bond. Okay?
Yeah.
They heavily imply that he and Moneypenny hooked up when she went in and helped him shave. They imply it. They don't explicitly say it. They've never acknowledged what happened in that room. And it's an implication. And as we all know, the implication sometimes is just as good as actually, So you have the implication that something happened, but nothing actually, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's, what, and I'm fine with that. Even if they actually came out and said they hooked up, I'd still be like, okay, all right. This one is a transaction for a woman whose whole life is a transaction. That doesn't sit well with me. And I don't know why that got in there. Or at least if they tweaked it in such a way where at least at the end I can go, okay, well, now he knows. And the worst part is they killed her off shortly after that.
Yeah.
And Bond didn't give a fuck.
He never gave a fuck. Like,
bloody waste of good scotch. Like, yeah, he didn't kill her. He purposely missed, or he purposely didn't take the shot. But still, she died, and it was like even Silva's just like, how do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, not at all.
Yeah.
But let's back up a little bit because I want to do this justice.
All right.
The introduction
The Silva
of Raul Silva.
That one still shot of him way in the
before that, she talks about him and she's like, can you kill him? And he says, yes. Will you?
Yeah.
Yes. And she's basically like, I fucking hope so, because this guy's horrible. Like, she tells him, not like this, not like him, right? And then that long shot where he comes in and he tells the story about how his grandma, who owned an island, dealt with rats. Whoa.
Not only is it a great monologue, but there's nothing more like, it's almost intimidating to see him this small and then just grow
3 steps
in. And grow, and then he's right there in your face.
3 steps in, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be good. By the time, and you're right, by the time he gets up and he's dominating the screen, it was like, holy shit, this is crazy.
And he's just
and that whole story, oh man, he was just so unsettling about everything.
It was like flamboyant, but like just like in a really weird, pervy, creepy way.
I'm not even saying flamboyant because, like, you know, I've said before, like, you know, you talk about flamboyant, the first thing you think is gay people, but unsettling, creepy, yes. I mean, sure, he was, I 100% feel like he's just doing that to get under Bond's skin.
Yeah.
And when Bond goes, you said it's my first time, I love how there's still people that goes, what the fuck? Oh, Bond's not bi. Bond would never. No, but he would tell that guy, he would shrug it off and be like, yeah, who's to say it's my first time? Right? It's not the first time he's been tied to a chair by a bad guy that basically was like, you either join us or I'm going to kill you. Not the first time. And even if, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just that whole thing where it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Do you got anything else?
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you. That's it. That's all. You know? And even the first time I saw that, even in the theater, I went, oh, and I knew right away, like, there was Bonds fans who were literally like, God damn it, no. Oh, why can't we get back to when he smacked bitches and fucking just borderline raped women? Wait for Spectre. Oh.
Borderline raping Bond will be back in Spectre.
Yeah. Don't worry, dirtbags. He makes an appearance.
Coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, so like, and like, Silva is such a good bad guy.
Yeah.
I love that the story about the 2 rats, and he's literally telling the story. We don't know if it's true, but he tells the story, and it's literally him just basically saying, my grandmother is him, and you and I are the last 2 rats. But I love it when he goes like, well, we could eat each other. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It makes it seem like it's a bit more sexually twinged than it should be, right? Hey, you wanna eat me? Because I don't mind eating you, like that kind of thing, and that whole thing. Like, this is so fucking great. And then, of course, he's just like, this dependence on mom. Like, I don't understand it. She's done nothing but lie to you. It's just like, nah, I don't know. And he's just like, well, did you pass your test? Yeah, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. Fail.
Alcohol dependency.
Fail.
Painkiller. Yeah, fail. Psychological eval. Anti-authority. Boozer. Pill popper. Fail. She sent you to die. Like, she sent you to me for me to kill you. Like, I don't know why you love her so much, because she obviously doesn't love you. She did the same to me, bro. She fucked me hard, bro.
Yeah, like, holy shit.
It's so good. And I love this dark mirror, you know, and they've done the dark mirror before in Bond movies. Like, Blofeld is the dark mirror, okay? Yep. But forget about that, Blofeld. Like, this is a perfect dark mirror. Like, I love it. I even love it where, like, later when she's talking about him, she's like, his real name is Diego Rodriguez, and he was one of my best agents. He was brilliant. You know, like, so later, like earlier when Silva's like, I was better than you. You know, she's kind of saying, like, he was brilliant. Like, he was an absolutely amazing agent. But he started doing missions on his own. He went rogue, and well, it was him and a couple of agents for us. So I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
Boom. See you later. You know? And even though he was going beyond and not doing what he should be, she's got a hint of regret, because that choice created Silva. So because of that, now because of that, the most recent deaths are on her shoulders. She was already like, this is fucking my fault. But now she's like, oh no, it's 100% my fault. There's no way that I can talk myself out of this one. It's 100% my fault. And I think we're an hour and a half in, and at no point in time have I ever been like, whew, boy, oh boy, oh boy.
This movie is a roller coaster. It does not stop. It's just
it
boom,
is
boom, 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 boom.
Exactly in the same vein as Fallout, where it hits the ground running, then it calms down a bit, then it gets back up, and it just does this the entire time until it gets to this point, holds it, and then goes.
We talked about that in Fallout. Like, it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds right to the very end. And when it finally comes down, you're just like, whoo, thank God.
But at that same time, you're just like, fuck, like, I want to watch this again.
Yeah.
I want to watch this all over again
I watched Fallout, and I was like, 10 out of 10. Hands down, easily.
Yeah.
Best movie of the year. I watched Skyfall, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
like, I don't even think about it. It's like the crash hit, and I'm just like, perfect.
So, yeah, exactly. So like, oh fuck, like I don't want to spend too much time just talking about the story, but it's hard because the story's so good.
It's so good. Great. It's but so great. And what I like too is that it's very much Bond, like crashing and returning, and like the rise of Bond. But this is equally an M film. Like yes,
very much. It had to be
perfect swan song too. Like
exactly. Although I didn't think that they were going to kill her until they got to Skyfall. I was like, oh, like the retirement thing, and obviously like Gareth Mallory will be the new M. Like, okay, that all tracks, it all makes sense. Yeah. Oh, but before I go any further, I know a lot of people kind of shit their pants about the bad guy getting intentionally captured trope. Okay. And they look at The Dark Knight and they go like, oh, for a guy that didn't have plans, he planned to get caught. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, it does, especially in this movie, because I look at it like this guy planned everything.
Yep.
He planned everything up until, like, he planned M's death in the Parliament building. So all of that is planned. He planned to get caught. He planned to have them take his laptop. He planned to have them be so cocky to plug the laptop into their mainframe. He planned all of that because he knew how they worked. Plus, he's a hacker. He's ridiculously smart, okay?
Yeah, so smart.
It's at the point where Bond doesn't die by his hand and shows up and saves M that now he's fucked. Now he's like, well, now I got to get a new plan.
Yeah, that threw him off completely.
It threw him off completely. And then, like an idiot, he followed their breadcrumbs right to Skyfall. And thank God James Bond watched Home Alone, because that's and I made that joke. With Skyfall when we were watching the Skyfall with Michelle. It's the first time I ever made that connection, but I was like, oh, this is so funny. You must have watched Home Alone. And Michelle was just like, are you? But it's, I mean, he did.
It's totally
he had to.
Deal. I mean,
they probably watched it before they set everything up.
Yeah.
I actually said, just imagine this sequence with that music. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh man.
But yeah, so oh man, like, just everything about the story is amazing. Like, that's really all I'm going to say about the story. Is it's absolutely amazing, except I will say the death of M was perfectly done.
Perfect.
I never thought that they would have killed her off. I never thought that they should have killed her off, but the way they did was perfect. And they got that Bond goodbye with her, and he's crying, which
that entire
is a no-no for Bond.
The entire Skyfall sequence is what made this a 10 out of 10. Like, right up to that point, I was loving it, but it might not have been perfect. That Skyfall sequence. And Kincaid, man, I love that guy. When
I actually, for a part of me, I was thinking M and Kincaid are going to hook up and they're going to live in Skyfall.
Yeah.
But then as soon as she did this and there was blood, I was like, she's dead. she's fucking dead.
Like, I love that James looked at Kincaid and he's just like,
yeah,
like
and like I said, so now we've got Bond who's crying. He's shedding tears for her, even though they're both busting each other's chops and they're doing that banter thing, but they're saying goodbye. And I don't think you've ever seen Bond cry in a movie up until this point.
Oh,
and he's saying goodbye.
Yeah, he's saying goodbye to his mother here, like
essentially, yeah, because they talk about how like he was an orphan, and this was like he was 12 or 13 when his parents died, and then that's just kind of what happened, and that's it. So so enough about the story. God damn the cinematography for this movie.
Oh, it is gorgeous. It is
like, again, if all you're familiar with Sam Mendes, and I'm sorry that I'm taking up a lot of this, but I will let you talk as much when you're doing your pros and cons. If you watch American Beauty, you're gonna go, okay, well, he'll make a great movie, but to get that level of cinematography, like for the longest time on my phone as a wallpaper, I had this shot, and it's got Skyfall at the bottom, and it's Skyfall, the front door, and it's Bond in a suit, just strolling with his car keys. And I had that as my wallpaper for so long because I just thought it was such a visually amazing shot. Just a casual Bond. He's not fighting or anything. He's literally strolling to his car. It looked incredible. And we wouldn't have got that without Sam Mendes. Like, there's not a scene in this movie that is not beautiful in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's hauntingly beautiful, like when Skyfall is burning and Raoul is just stalking M now.
Yep.
And Bond is frantically trying to get to her at this point, and there's that orange overglow in the background. Like, it's just hauntingly beautiful. And then there's other scenes. Well, we mentioned Macau. Macau is gorgeous.
Yep.
There's no part of Macau that's not gorgeous. I mean, even the fucking crumbled, ruined island was incredibly cinematic watching that movie. Like,
it's easily the most beautiful looking of all the Bond films.
Yeah. Like,
easily.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's not just on Sam Mendes. That's on the cinematographer, the editors, and everything, right? I mean, like, that
everybody came together.
Like, I don't know what happened with Spectre.
We know parts. We know parts.
It's still a good-looking movie. I mean, it's not a bad-looking movie.
Yeah, well, we know enough about the troubleshooting. We know enough about the studio execs, like the script leaks and stuff like that, or the Sony hack, that. So we know quite a bit of why Spectre turned out the way that it did. And I also have a few theories of my own. Actually, I have one theory particularly, aside from the studio interference and all of that, but predominantly why the studio interference was there. Okay, but we'll get to that when we talk about Spectre.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so the cinematography is amazing, but even like, because we mentioned The Dark Knight, and Skyfall is 100% influenced by The Dark Knight. Mendes has said this is his Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And I mean, even one of the, like, towards the end of the movie, there's that scene where Bond's on a roof looking over Britain. That's a fucking Batman move.
Oh, yeah. Damn right it is.
And until I see No Time to Die, this, unfortunately, would have been the best way to end Craig's Bond run.
Yes.
He ends it on one of the best Bond movies of all time. He ends it on his best so far, his best. It made over $1 billion, which was incredible. And it literally put all the toys back in its box.
Yeah.
You have your male M. You have Moneypenny back. You've got Q.
Yep.
You've got Bond, better than ever, better than he's ever been. And that's it. And then you could have gone off into the sunset and said, okay, now let's cast him again. He didn't. And that's fine, because potentially No Time to Die could be amazing. And if they follow the format, you've got Casino Royale.
Yeah. I thought about that.
Right? Then you've got,
Spectre,
Skyfall. And you got Spectre. Well, we'll put Spectre lower, though, because Quantum of Solace. So
My
Maybe.
arm has to be completely out of the camera. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so now I didn't forget, but I had to write it down for a reason. I might forget for Spectre. Symmetry. The movie officially starts when Bond plunges through the water.
Yes.
Okay? The movie officially ends with a fully formed Bond when he plunges through the water and gets back out. We don't see him get out of the water in the beginning. We know he does. We don't see him get out. When we do see him, he's not James Bond.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm saying before Skyfall, we had fully formed Bond, but he had to go through the ice.
Yeah.
And instead of not coming up or someone saving him, he gets out on his own. And that sequence is cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Gets the flare gun to see where the hole is and then swims back up. That's incredible. And that's incredible symmetry. I never noticed that before until this viewing. And Spectre has something similar too.
Nice. I never even caught on to that.
Part of me actually thinks that it was intentional because it happened again in Spectre. So I do feel like there's some symmetry. It's a little bit different in Spectre, but there's still that symmetry. But regardless, I was just like, oh, that's just kind of a nice, neat little layer. So even if it wasn't intended, I do think it was. Even if it wasn't, it's still just a nice little wrinkle where I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of nice. Because like he gets out of the ice and what does he do? Kill Silva.
Yep.
He saves him from dying by Silva's hand or by her hand, essentially.
Yeah.
But then he gets to have that beautiful goodbye, and then that's it. That's Bond. Bond is fully formed once again, better than he was than the beginning of the movie. And now you've got the toys back in the box where somebody else can go in and go, all right, let's do something different, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I've talked a lot. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you.
Buddy, I got nothing, man. We touched on every single one of my pros.
I'm glad that we were able to do back and forth. I'm glad because I did feel like I was dominating a bit. So I'm sorry for that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You were hitting all those story beats. Like I just the cast though. I mean, really, every friggin' pro comes from every single cast member in this. Like Moneypenny, it's great to have Moneypenny back, but Naomi Harris blew me away in that role. Like she was.
But also, the way that they introduced her, that by the end of the movie, when she says Moneypenny, you're like, oh,
Moneypenny's back.
Yes, that's awesome.
And then having Hugh come back, like that pumped me up.
That was super cool too. But like, oh, that was so cool. Tanner again showing up again.
Tanner was fantastic.
Tanner is like that sweater that you just can't get rid of because it's so comfortable.
Yeah,
it warms you, and you're like, I can't wear this to a nice place. Actually, I don't want to shit on Tanner. I mean, he's a nice looking, but like it's just that like, oh, all these other changes are happening, but this guy here, he's here. I'm okay. I'm all right. This is where Bond's going now. As long as Tanner's here, I'm okay.
Like if I go back to Casino Royale and Quantum Solace here, so like I have Casino Royale, I said still wasn't feeling confident that Daniel Craig was a great Bond. Right. Quantum of Solace, I have the performance that Daniel gives helps me to greatly warm up to him as the new James Bond.
Yeah, which is perfect.
For Skyfall, Daniel Craig is James Bond.
Yes, exactly. And I chose my words carefully. It is his version. But it's perfect. Like you could tell he's just like, yes, okay.
Yeah. So like this, I was just like, fuck yeah. I mean, so
oh yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
Good. Cons, I had no cons. I had literally no cons with this movie.
Not true, because you agreed with me about the shower scene.
I did agree with that. I never thought about it when I was making my notes. But
no, but that is a con. It's a very small con.
And it's not enough to knock any of this down for me.
No, I agree. It's like Fallout. Never mind. I don't have a con for Fallout. I really don't. There's nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah,
So
Skyfall.
we took a long one on that one.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
I think Spectre is going to be a little quicker.
Or it's going to be just as long, but it's not going to be positive. Now we're looking at 2015.
Nothing like ending a show on a bad note.
Directed by Sam Mendes. Yeah. Written by John Logan, Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, Daniel Craig, James Bond. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Naomi Harris, Moneypenny. Ben Whishaw, Q. Okay. All right. Rory Kinnear, Tanner. Ralph Fiennes, M. Okay. Christoph Waltz. Waltz is Hans Obermauser / Ernst Stavros Blofeld. Leah Seydoux is Madeline Swan, Mr. White's daughter.
Yep.
That's another big sigh. David Bautista is Mr. Hinks.
Yeah.
There is a small sigh.
There's a sigh.
Largely great. You know, I'll tell you right now. Here's the thing: they make a big stink of showing his silver thumbnails, and he uses that to kill the one dude to take his spot in Spectre.
Yeah.
And then he never uses that move again for the rest of the movie. And in fact, in the train sequence, if you gotta look really carefully, he doesn't have the silver fucking blades on his thumbs anymore.
No. He took
off. That's the only thing I don't like about his character, where it's like, well, what was the point? Oh, that, and I thought it was hilarious that they made him have an accent. He says one word in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And they give him an accent. Like,
I literally wrote
not a bad one.
I wrote Dave Bautista is awesome, but this was a pitiful role for him. He had more character development in the direct-to-video Kickboxer movie.
Ooh, that's a burn and a half. That's a burn and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what else do we got? Jesper Christensen as Mr. White again. And this is not a sigh for her. Monica Bellucci, who's Lucia Sciarra. It's not a sigh for her. It's a sigh for her character. We've got Stephanie Sigman as Estella, the Mexican agent helping Bond in Mexico. Yeah, it is. And Alessandro Cremona, who is Marco Sciarra, the aforementioned guy that she wanted to kill, or Bond was hunting in the beginning of Spectre. Budget is approximately 245 to 300 million.
Good God. Where the fuck did it go?
Reshoots. Reshoots was a large chunk of this budget. And especially because, like, you look at...
You need a $300 million budget. I do not understand.
Because of the reshoots. That's why.
Wow.
Because, like, you look at Skyfall, and Skyfall's budget was, let's say, like, it's that 150 to 2 million. Let's say it's 2 million. Let's just do 2 million. Okay. All right. And this is what we got for 200 million. I said 2 million. What I meant was 200 million. We got 200 million, and we got Skyfall.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The best Bond movie. So far, the best Daniel Craig Bond movie. Even if it was an extra $45 million, even if it was just the 245, and it wasn't the reshoot cost and the marketing and blah, blah, blah. This is what we got?
Yeah.
This movie. This is the movie that we got. Ugh. So here goes. First of all, the story is very similar to two movies. Skyfall, because we have another dark mirror in Ernst Stavros Blofeld. But it's also a lot similar to another movie that came out in 2015, Rogue Nation, which dealt with a secret organization that nobody knew existed except for one guy. And Rogue Nation, and here's the thing, this is my favorite part about this movie, is that, like, going into that year, you say, hey, Chris, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is coming out. Spectre's coming out. before you even ask the question, I would go, Spectre's the better movie. I haven't seen either of these movies, but I'm going to tell you, Spectre's a better movie. Why? I wasn't familiar with Chris McQuarrie. Wasn't the hugest Mission Impossible fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, I flat out. And then the following year, 2016, was Jason Bourne, which they should have just called The Jason Bourne. Anyway.
The Jason Bourne.
Anyway, and again, I would have said, out of all of them, Jason Bourne's going to be the best. So shut the fuck up. Don't ask me the question, right? Well, that's wrong.
You're wrong.
Horribly wrong.
You're wrong.
And Jason Bourne is by no means a good Jason Bourne movie. It's still better than this. And Rogue Nation annihilates both movies.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Across all metrics, okay?
Jason
Even
Bourne
cinematography. Even cinematography, which, you know, you could have said, well, you know, Sam Mendes will probably get a beat there. No, even there, it doesn't. Part of it is because the story is not that good. So when you get to scenes that are like beautiful, you're still just kind of like, ugh.
It's just like, it's the same director, the same writers. You're introducing fucking Christoph Waltz. This should have been better than Skyfall, if anything.
Not only that, the introduction of Christoph Waltz should have been from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Blofeld.
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay.
None of this hands over and insisting.
Yeah. All that
like
shit.
they were literally like, it's not Blofeld. Shut the fuck up about Blofeld. It's a new movie with Obermauser. Okay, so just give it a rest. And then, so by the time you get to the part where he goes, Ernst Stavros Blofeld, you're just like, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, you feel like Bond's trapped in there. You feel like Bond's trapped in, going like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm just here to kill you. That's it. So, okay. So that's part of the problem. It's too similar to two of those movies. Mm-hmm. Now, with Rogue Nation, I think Rogue Nation came out first, and then Bond came out later. Or no, I think it was flipped. But either way, that's one of those like happenstance. Okay, fine, story similar. I mean, I don't even. Well, okay, we'll begin with the Mexico sequence because that was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. I loved the single shot work of that camera. It was great. Mm-hmm. I loved that it came in, came back, and you got to see Bond in that awesome skeleton tux, you know, and then the whole sequence is awesome.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
I thought visually it looked cool. I felt like it took an eternity to get through it. It felt way too long.
Okay. So this is where we're going to disagree only because like there's a lot that I don't like.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is long, dragged out, boring sequences. I'm not bored by that opening sequence.
Following Bond from street level all the way up to the top floor of a hotel room in one shot, bored the fuck out of me. Straight up.
Every single time you watched it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I right off the bat, I'm like, this is a boring opening for a Bond movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So.
Oh, well, I mean, okay.
Though it does make me want to go to Mexico City for Day of the Dead because that looks awesome.
Yeah, apparently Day of the Dead wasn't like that until that movie. Or at least it wasn't to that extent. But anyway, regardless, I thought the opening sequence was awesome. Okay, but anyway, it did lead into one of the shittiest Bond songs ever.
Sam Smith. I fast forward through it. It was like halfway through. I was like, I can't do it.
The only time I've ever watched it was in the theater.
Yeah,
that's it. Because I had to. That's the only fucking time. That's the only fucking time I did it because I had to. Okay. I do like how it does open with the ring. So he sees the ring, he grabs it, and okay, all right, that's leading him onto the path. I love that he was led on the path by M.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was awesome. I thought it was kind of funny that like by the end of Skyfall, Mallory and Bond are like buddy, and then at the beginning of this movie, he's just like, "What the fuck were you doing? Are you fucking kidding me?" Oh, and another thing that's very similar in plot is that so they're dealing with the Nine Eyes, which is essentially going to get rid of MI6. But they talked about that in Skyfall. They were saying we don't need MI6, but by the end of Skyfall, they go, no, we need the 00 branch of MI6. We need that. So keep doing what you're doing. In fact, you have Mallory. Mallory's your new M. And then at the beginning of this movie, it's the same thing. So you have Dark Mirror. You've got, first Dark Mirror. Then you've got this subplot where the 00 program is no more. Yep. It's not needed anymore. So again, you're just like, okay, all right. And where are we? Oh, the cast is great. It's just too bad the movie wasted.
The cast is great. The cast is great, and I will say that seeing Moneypenny and Tanner and Q
working together, the three of them, and M as well, all
and eventually M as well. Yeah,
like once they all realize exactly what's happening and the stakes of it, I love that they all just kind of get together and say, "Fuck it, let's take them all down."
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so awesome. Do I have it really? I don't have a lot anymore.
Pros? My pros are
actually, hold on. I'll tell you this. So I like the movie right up until they go to the American.
Okay. Yeah.
The second that they get to the American, I'm like, oh fuck. I perk up with the fight scene on the train because that's fucking awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And then I kind of shut down until they get back to Britain. Yeah. Okay. So literally almost the entire desert sequence I would remove. And I don't know what I would replace it with, but something a little bit cooler than how they introduced Blofeld. Actually, if they would have built more on the sequence in the meeting, where like he just knows Bond's there and he just kind of looks and he's in the shadows. I was like, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so they're trying to figure out if he's Hans or if Hans really died or whatever. That part I was like, whatever, because you knew it was Blofeld.
Yeah.
Like even the shot in like the winter scene I think it's in the Alps or whatever. That's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeously shot. I start to lose it a bit when there's the plane sequence. That chase sequence, I was like, I don't really. It seemed like it was there just to have a chase sequence with planes.
You know what? It seemed like it was straight out of the Pierce Brosnan movies again.
Yeah, like it just seemed like it was there for nothing other than just to have it like a spectacle for the sake of being a spectacle, instead of building to that spectacle. And then you go, oh yeah, that's awesome. I've never liked this bullshit love story with Bond and Swan. I've never liked it.
Man, has there ever been a relationship that felt more forced in a Bond movie? It's so, and it's awkward. It's awkward. Yeah, I'll take care of your daughter. I'll go fuck her.
It's, you know what? Not even that part. That part, you know what? Fine. Okay. He's like, yeah, I'll make sure I'll protect you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. It's the fact that they literally make a point of her saying, I will never be with you.
Yeah.
You're an assassin just like my father. I left him for the same reason. I think she actually says, I will never love you.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Great. But don't literally have that scene happen and then 2 seconds later have the train fight scene. Oh no, 2 seconds later, even before the fight scene, they're having a date.
Yeah.
He's all dressed up. She's all dressed up. They're having a good time. They're laughing. They're smiling. I mean, I know the scene is supposed to remind you of Casino Royale's skewered scene. I know that. Or not even after the casino when they win. Okay, and they're celebrating. I know it's supposed to bring those feelings, but immediately I was like, this makes no sense. Like, So he found out a couple of things about how Mr. White wasn't as bad a guy as she thought he was, and they were looking for something. But all of a sudden, now she's in love with Bond. What?
Yeah.
What? And even before the fight scene, they were going to bang. That was it. But then the fight scene happens, and then, she helps him. The fight scene's awesome. It's like literally the only thing in that entire sequence that I'm like, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then
they're kissing immediately, and I'm just like,
and they're full on like in love.
He got annihilated in that fight. He's not just like picking up a woman and walking away. Like, he is sore as fuck. I don't care how much you want to have sex at this moment. You
can adrenaline rush all you want. Yeah.
I mean, like, you're not moving the way you should be.
Yeah. I mean, that scene was great because, like, if it wasn't for her help, they made it look like Bond's getting killed here.
Oh, yeah.
Bond is dying. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, and then at that point, then we fucking drag our ass to the desert, to the middle of the desert now, and we get to the sequence where we figure out that Blofeld and C are working together, which wasn't blatantly obvious at all to anybody. It would have been more refreshing if they didn't cast the guy who played one of the best versions of Moriarty ever as a good guy. I would have been like, whoa, that's surprising. You got me there. Instead of me going like, well, he's clearly the bad guy. He's clearly working with Blofeld because, I know Blofeld's not in the movie, but he's clearly in the movie, right? So then it's like, okay, fine. The reveal, oh yeah, Blofeld's working together, and then Swan sees Bond give her dad the gun that he kills himself with. And even then he's like, don't look. And it's like, well, what difference does it make? Okay. Yeah. So then now she's not sure how she feels about it, which makes sense, I guess. But okay, fine, I guess, whatever. They get back to Britain. Oh, I forgot to mention, I hated how in every movie up until this one, Bond's banged up. He's got scars, he's got cuts or whatever. He got that fight through with Mr. Hinks. Not a scratch on him.
Not a scratch.
They get into that death trap with the fucking drills.
Yeah, that's going to erase his memory, yet nothing happens to his memory, even though he got poked 3 times.
Nothing happens at all to his memory. Okay. He gets out with her help with the exploding watch. I like the idea of the exploding watch. I thought that was cool.
That was cool. Yep.
I liked that the explosion at least gave Blofeld his scars, which he typically had. And I liked that it was because of Bond. I even liked the backstory where he's essentially just pissed off because he fucking stole my dad from me. Showed up for 2 summers. My dad's teaching me how to hunt and ski. Like, I'm supposed to act like you're my brother? Fuck you, cuckoo. Even though I hated that he was like, cuckoo. I was like, this is the guy that's sipping milk while Jews are underneath the floor and he knows it? No, sorry, this is not the same guy. This is the fucking mercenary dentist? No, this isn't the same guy. This is someone else. This is ridiculous. Okay, all right. They get out and he's like Call of Duty style ripping apart an entire cadre of people. Not one shot hits him. Like, when did Bond become Rambo? I don't want him to be shot to shit and have like bullet holes all through him. But okay, so now I'm starting to see the studio. I'm starting to see the studio saying, no. We want more of this. We want classic Bond death trap, okay? We want more classic Bond gadgets, okay? We want Bond to always look cool, okay? We want Bond to fucking force himself on a woman whose husband had just been killed. She had just survived an assassination attempt on her life. She's in tears. And Bond is like, shush, kiss. Oh, it's okay. Taking her clothes off. She's fucking crying. And he's like forcing himself on her. Now, sure, after they're done, she's all, in this totally separate outfit. So they had sex. She put on a sexy nightgown. She's all happy, like, oh, hey, oh, you're going to get your buddy Felix to save me. Okay, great, cool. What? The worst scene in Skyfall, and you double down on it times 10. Are Bond fans really this? Oh, they probably are. This misogynistic that they're like, you know, if Bond doesn't borderline rape a girl, it's not a Bond movie. And I mean by borderline, I mean basically rape her. I mean, we just won't use that terminology.
Yeah. Oh.
Like, and the Italy sequence is gorgeously shot too. And there's that haunting music with the car chase scene. That's awesome. The desert part is like, it starts to crumble in on for me, and I'm just like, I don't care how beautiful. Although I didn't think the desert scenes were that beautiful. Now that I think about it, you know, and then we get to the end where, you know, old MI6 is set to blow up.
Yep.
Stavros has decided he's gonna hide her body in there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Play a little game.
And Bond has got to get out. Now the part where Bond has got the fucking cover over the hood over his face, and he gets out, shoots them, busts out. I was like, that's awesome. That's Bond. That's so cool. You know, and I also like how they have Bond wearing the suit for the most part, but then at the end sequences, like in the last Skyfall movie, it's a totally different suit. It's like he's going to war suit, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know, and then they have that whole sequence. They should have made the timer longer. When they said it was 5 minutes, I immediately was like, or no, 3 minutes.
The search
I think it was
building.
3. Search an entire building.
Yeah.
Right.
And he finds
her.
Then
he, luckily he finds her. Now they made up for it by jumping off the thing into the net. That's fine. That's all good. But the whole time I was like, ooh, this should take less than 3 minutes. But okay, fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ended off with this standoff scene where he looks at M, looks at her, and they walk away. And this is supposed to be his last movie. So this was the end note that we were supposed to go, okay, bring in the new guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not having it at all. Oh, and the symmetry for this one?
Yeah, symmetry.
Movie starts with Bond in a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Movie ends with Blofeld in a helicopter. The Dark Mirror inversed. But just like everything about this movie and how it's essentially Skyfall, everything is lazier this time around.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is a concentrate. I do feel 100% that originally they were going in it like, fuck yeah, we're $1 billion.
Yeah.
$1 billion, okay? Like $800 million of profit. Okay? So if the budget is 2 million, or 200 million, so you get 200 million, so now you're free. So now it's like 600 million of profit.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Okay, that's bonkers. That's amazing. And then you get to this, and you're just like there are some sequences where I'm like, this is absolutely gorgeous. Does it need to be this long?
No.
This movie felt the longest out of all of them.
Oh my God. I actually wrote, the length is way too long. It drags. It's boring. It's easily the worst Bond movie in the Daniel Craig run. And shocking that it's from the same fucking team that made the best one in the Daniel Craig run.
And is it like there's like 2 or 3 minutes of difference of runtime? Like this one is, I think, like maybe 2 minutes longer, or it might even be 2 minutes less.
Yeah. It's around the same. It's around the same.
It's in and around the same mark, but
Casino Royale's around the same. Like the only one way different is Quantum.
Yeah, exactly. But like even in the theater, the first time I watched this, I remember when they got to the American, and then first I remember her saying, I would never fall in love with you. And I was like, ugh. And I should have known right away that was going to be the beginning.
Yeah.
Because the movie, okay, so Skyfall does this and then builds up, and then and then this, so that every time it valleys, it's still higher than the last valley. So
Exactly.
it's a constant progression, right? Yeah. Fallout, same thing. Starts here, goes here. Starts here, goes here. You know, so the valleys are always higher than the last valley. This one, it starts off here, goes here, goes up a little bit, and then it starts to do this.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of limps into the finish line where I've seen this enough times now where I don't know, like I largely like the end sequence, aside from the actual ending of the movie. Which even if they fleshed out the love story a little bit longer, like had her maybe at the beginning of the movie and he met her and they fall in love and then he finds out that that's Mr. White's daughter, then I can buy everything after that a little bit easier. But even then I get to that movie and I'm like, that's how you end the franchise for Daniel Craig? So I'm glad he's got this movie. I really am glad. And I have a feeling that this is going to be better because he's never once shit talked the production of this movie. And this movie went through reshoots too. No Time to Die went through a few reshoots.
Well, yeah.
Not as extensive.
Well,
not as extensive.
The whole thing and dropped out like far into the production of pre-production. Yeah. So,
but like, it's fucking baffling that you had literally the exact same group of people that did Skyfall and cleared 600 million. Do this movie and you're like, what the fuck? And I guarantee you the studio sat there and said, okay, guys, we want you to do this. Do what you did with Skyfall. We want you to make it more like Roger Moore's Bond.
Yeah.
Roger Moore's Bond is where we want you to be. So that's why you had the crazy death machine with the drills that he was in. And that's why you had Blofeld, you know, and that's even why you had a little bit more of a campy humor in it.
Yeah.
And you know what, like that Bond style of humor works, but in Craig's version of this character, you spent all this time either getting rid of those tropes or inverting them or updating them where they didn't feel like past Bond movies. They felt like they were like an homage to them, but not a complete ripoff. Whereas in this movie, you know, it feels like two different people going like, yeah, but we're here and we made $1 billion. And then they went, yeah. No, I know. We could make 2 billion if we did this. And then they were like, yeah, but I don't, fuck it. We own the character, so you're going to do whatever we want. You know, and it's no wonder he was like, I want to slash my fucking wrists. I'm done with this character.
Yeah.
Now you see a different version of Daniel Craig. He's like this. I feel like he's like, I'm happy to go out on this film. So I'm a little bit more hopeful. Luckily for them, the bar is set so astronomically low because of Spectre. I mean, Spectre made the least amount of money.
Yeah. No.
Quantum of Solace. That's right. That one made the least amount.
Yeah. Spectre, I think, was still around 800.
Hold on. Yeah, that's right. Because if we say 230 million, then Quantum of Solace at 590.
But we're talking 800 million on a budget that was 100 million more.
Yeah. So, whereas, so you got where's my So there it is. 300 million, 880.7 million. So yeah.
So
they made about the same. Like, I mean, technically, like Spectre made more money, but it cost way more.
Spectre made less when you think about it.
It had to.
Skyfall was made for 100 less, and it made 200 more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think the only reason why it did so well is because it was coming off of Skyfall.
100%.
this was coming off.
100%.
If this was coming off, like that's what's amazing with Skyfall, how much it made coming off of Quantum.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But
So,
like when I saw the trailers for Quantum of Solace, I was like, fuck yeah. But after Quantum of Solace, I was like, I don't know. But then when I saw the trailers for Skyfall, I was like, ooh, this looks pretty fucking sweet.
yes.
And most of the trailers they showed us was only from the opening sequence. They didn't show too much of after he falls off the bridge. In fact, they showed him falling off the bridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it was just like, whoa, this is a different ball game here. This is totally different. And then the trailers for Spectre, I was like, okay, all right, but I wasn't like, whoa, you know. So I hope that this is going to be. I hope this is just as, at the very least, just as good as Casino Royale, just as good as Quantum of Solace. If it's just as good as Skyfall, fucking rights. Like fucking rights. I hope, but
I don't know, man. It's going to be hard to touch that because it was such a like so much of what I love about that movie is the relationship between James and Em in it. Like,
yeah, no, that's really, totally fair.
Really connect to that in that movie.
Yeah,
and that is why I felt like Judi Dench's absence is greatly felt in Spectre.
Yep,
greatly felt. So it'll be interesting to see this one if it could come close to Skyfall without the one factor that I love most about Skyfall.
Okay, like I understand that thought process, but I just mean like just that sense where like even like Fallout, where you're just like, end the movie and you're like, oh man, I want to watch that movie again. Because that's how I felt with Skyfall. That's how I felt with Casino Royale. I was done Casino Royale and I was like, I want to watch that movie right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that with Quantum of Solace, and I'm definitely 100% not like that with Spectre. Mm-hmm. And I don't know when the next time I'll rewatch Spectre is going to be, to be honest with you.
I mean, honestly, if the next one comes out and it also sucks, then I'll probably just watch Casino to Skyfall for now and on and ignore the last two movies in the series.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to be at that point too.
I will just look at it as Skyfall is the ending.
Yeah. All right. That's it. I'm done. I'm done shitting all over Spectre.
I am done
well deserved though. It's well deserved shitting on.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
So yeah.
Honestly,
so like I said,
I don't think I'm ever going to watch Spectre again after.
I don't see it either. But like I said, my rankings: Skyfall, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, further below Spectre. Like we'll put some of the campiest Roger Moore movies.
Yeah. See, I don't mind Roger Moore movies because I grew up on those. My dad loved Roger Moore, but those are a problem at the time. I don't want to see that in modern film.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'll give them credit. Like with Pierce Brosnan, they were bringing him into the modern age and they had M with him, a female M, and they had some more female characters and stuff like that. But if you look at it, like in GoldenEye, the character himself isn't really changed.
No.
He's still a sexist prick.
Yeah.
You know, like he's still like, I want to say like almost all the worst traits of Bond that is glorified. He's still that guy. It's just now he's navigating in this world that no longer looks at him like, oh, well, we got to do everything he says because he's a man, you know? Mm-hmm. And the only thing that was really interesting, without shitting on GoldenEye, because I thought GoldenEye was awesome, was now you had this douchebag, you know, like misogynistic guy now having to deal with a woman who's his superior, right?
Yep.
And I will say, though, it's amazing that they kept her for the reboot.
Isn't it? Yeah. Like,
and then created this like mother-son relationship.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't have done with Brosnan.
No, God, no.
At all. Although even like Brosnan, you know, Moore and Brosnan, their movies did the same thing. They started off pretty and serious and then went off to the crazy and absurd.
Yeah. Lasers from space, being in space.
Yeah, exactly. Moonraker.
Yeah.
What?
Oh man.
Anyway, so
anyways, yeah, that's the Bond rundown.
for now, we'll get to No Time to Die shortly. I can't wait.
October.
Can't wait.
Great for movies.
And the best part is, I get to see Venom 2, and then I get to go see Bond.
You get to see Bond. Great.
Although I think with Venom 2, I might do like Saturday matinee. That's not a bad idea. Or a Sunday matinee. Also not a bad idea.
I love
let me know what let me know what your schedule is like.
At my age, I love matinees.
Yeah, I'm still a bit of a night owl, so it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
speaking of October movies.
Without further ado, here are my proposed picks for you. Strangely enough, they're both from the year 2015.
Okay.
The first movie is called The Hollow, or The Hallow. That's what it's called.
The Hallows?
Yeah, no, The Hallow.
The Hallow.
Yeah, it is an Irish independent flick. You've seen it, haven't you?
It's amazing.
With fairies.
Yeah.
But they're horrifying
fairies.
I had a feeling you've seen it, because that's the one where I'm saying, like, that's totally into your wheelhouse. So yeah, okay. All right.
It's going recent too. Okay, so The Hollow.
Well, okay, so I'll come up with a different one, and I'll let you know. It's TB determined. But here's the second one.
I would love to watch that. I should have just told you I hadn't seen it, because I want to.
Yeah, I knew right away. As soon as I said like The Hallow, and you're like, Hallows or the Hallow, and then as soon as I corrected you and I went Irish independent, and you're like, okay, this one, it's called Tag.
Tag.
Yeah, and it's
Is this the Japanese one?
Fuck you, man.
I haven't seen it. I haven't.
Okay, but yes, it is the Japanese sci-fi horror.
I wanted to watch it, but I have not seen it.
I didn't watch it, but the premise alone, I was like, fuck, man, you got to see this one.
All right. Nice.
I got one. Wow. That was the one where I was like, you might have seen it, but I might have gotten here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. For you?
Yep.
I vote Phantasm.
That's funny. That's actually on my list of movies to watch.
Have you seen this? No? All
no,
right.
I haven't.
So this is one of them right here.
Okay.
Phantasm. The first one, masterpiece.
Yeah, that's literally on my list of movies.
And secondly, from South Korea, I Saw the Devil.
I think I've actually seen that.
Have you seen this one?
Because I
was between two South Korean movies.
What's the premise of this first before you grab the other one?
Okay. So this one is it's like a serial killer movie.
Yeah.
Guy is chasing the serial killer. I don't know how to break it down. He's obsessed with revenge. He wants to get this killer, and it turns out this killer isn't just some normal killer.
Okay, then no, I have not seen this.
You haven't seen that one?
No.
Okay. All right. So that is it.
What's the other one?
I Saw the Devil with Phantasm. The Wailing.
I'm curious. What's the other one?
The Wailing.
The Wailing.
Yep. The Wailing is somewhere.
Oh, wait. I think that one's on my list.
You might.
That one's on my list.
That one is also a fucking masterpiece.
Okay.
So if you feel like you've seen I Saw the Devil, I choose The Wailing.
Okay. No. I haven't seen I Saw the Devil. Okay. But I think I've come across that in various movie lists.
Yeah. Oh,
good thing you have physical copies of them, because I'm going to have to borrow them from you.
It's so good.
All right. So Phantasm, which is good because that's already on my list. And I Saw the Devil must be on my list because I was familiar with that. I was like, okay, all right. So Tag for you, and I will try to come up with something. You're such a hard one for this, though. Although, funny story, I haven't watched Hollow all the way through. How good is it?
Oh, fuck. It's so good, man. The ending is intense.
Yeah, that's what I thought. See, here's the reason why I started watching it. But I've been on a kick lately with this YouTuber called Mr. Ballin.
Okay.
And he does these long story form versions of like missing person stories, supernatural stories, things like that. And I got on so much of a kick that I started to have trouble sleeping.
Really?
Yeah, normally I'm usually pretty good, but like some of them where it's like ghosts in the house.
Yeah.
Those ones I can't watch before I go to sleep.
Well, no.
Yeah. So like that's part of it, right? As always, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you joining us, supporting us. What is it? The other YouTubers say? Subscribing and liking, all that other stuff. You guys know the drill.
Tap our bells.
You guys, the alerts. You guys know the drill. Look,
you know it.
We love you guys. We love the support. We really hope you enjoy this monumental Bond. I'm not sure how Ken's going to cut it, but I'm sure it'll be great. So as always, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on geekpantsmedia.com. You can find us on Google and Apple Podcasts. And you can also find us on SoundCloud. Okay?
Bam.
We're almost everywhere and yet nowhere at the same time. It's a very interesting juxtaposition. I love it. Kenneth loves it. You love it.
Fantastic.
And that is about it, ladies and gentlemen.
That is it.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. That is a wrap.
Too bad we didn't have a way to do the whole gun barrel thing. Oh, that's the other thing. When they finally do the gun barrel thing in Spectre, immediately, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, it's so bad. It's like they end Skyfall with the gun barrel, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. The way they did it, I thought that's awesome. But they opened with the classic gun barrel, and I was like, Spectre. Anyway, that's it. That's it. We're done.